Emma worked at a small grocery store on the edge of town. She lived a quiet life and didn't like to make a fuss. She came in early, smiled at the customers, and always tried to do her job right. Most days looked the same, but something happened one afternoon that would change her life forever. It was a sunny day, and Emma had just stepped outside for her 15-minute break. The sun felt warm on her skin, and she walked over to the bench near the store's front door. She sat down with her cup of tea, enjoying the quiet moment. Just then, she noticed a boy near the bike rack. He looked about 7 or 8 years old. He was kneeling next to his small red bike, and he looked upset. He pulled at something near the wheel, then sat back and wiped his eyes. Emma stood up and walked over to him. "Hey there," she said gently. "Everything okay?" The boy looked up, surprised. "My bike's broken," he said. "The chain came off, and I don't know how to fix it." Emma smiled. "Let's take a look." She set her cup on the bench and crouched beside the bike. Her fingers quickly found the chain and guided it back into place. It took just a few minutes. Her hands got a little greasy, but she didn't mind. The boy watched her closely, his eyes wide with hope. "There," she said, stepping back. "Try it now." The boy climbed on and pedaled in a circle. The bike worked perfectly. He laughed with joy and gave her a quick thank you before riding off down the sidewalk. Emma returned to her bench, wiping her hands with a napkin from her pocket. She smiled to herself, feeling good. It was a small thing, but it had clearly meant a lot to the boy. She finished her break and walked back into the store. The moment she stepped inside, she could tell something was off. Her manager, Mr. Allen, stood by the front counter with his arms crossed. He looked angry. "You left your position during your shift," he said loudly. "Customers were looking for help, and you weren't there." Emma tried to explain. "I was just helping a boy outside, his bike." "That's not part of your job," he cut in. "We're running a business here, not a charity." She fell quiet. There were still a few minutes left in her break, but she didn't argue. She went back to work, feeling a little embarrassed. Maybe she shouldn't have gotten involved, she thought. But deep down, she didn't regret it. The boy's smile had been worth it. Emma had no idea that someone had been watching, and even less idea that this small moment, fixing a child's bike, was about to lead to something far bigger than she could ever imagine. A few days passed, and life at the grocery store went on as usual for Emma. She worked the same shifts, stocked the shelves, and helped customers. Yet something had changed inside her. Every time she thought about the boy with the broken bike, she felt a small warmth in her heart. It wasn't much, but it felt good to help someone, even in such a simple way. Then one afternoon, things took a turn. It was a slow day at work, and Emma was restocking the canned goods aisle when her manager, Mr. Allen, came up to her. His face was serious, and his voice was sharp. "Emma, can you come to the back for a moment?" he asked. She set down the cans and followed him, feeling a bit nervous. The back room of the store was always a place where serious discussions took place, but she wasn't sure what he wanted to talk about. When they reached the office, Mr. Allen motioned for her to sit. "We had a complaint," he began, not wasting time with small talk. "A customer saw you outside on your break, said you were helping a kid fix his bike." Emma nodded slowly. "I was. The boy needed help, and I had a few minutes." Mr. Allen's face tightened. "That's the problem. You left the store during your break. You weren't available for customers. That's not acceptable." "I was still on the property," Emma replied quietly, trying to explain. "It doesn't matter," he interrupted. "You're not paid to play mechanic. This is a grocery store, not a charity. I can't have employees leaving their work for things like that. We have rules for a reason." He paused, and Emma felt a sinking feeling in her stomach. She didn't know what was coming next. She had never broken any serious rules before, and now it felt like the small act of kindness had turned into a big mistake. "I'm sorry, Emma," Mr. Allen said finally, his voice cold. "But I have to let you go. We need people who focus on their job, not on helping random kids. Please collect your things." Emma sat there in shock. She couldn't believe what she was hearing. Fired? Over fixing a bike? She had helped someone in need, yet it had cost her job. It felt like such a small thing, a simple act of kindness, but it had led to this moment. As she gathered her things, the weight of the situation began to settle in. Emma walked out of the store without saying another word, her mind racing. She had done nothing wrong, and yet everything had changed. As she stepped outside into the fresh air, the reality of being jobless hit her. She didn't know what her next move would be, but deep down, she felt a strange sense of peace. Maybe this was the beginning of something new, something bigger than she could imagine. After all, life had a funny way of surprising people. Little did Emma know that unexpected day would be the start of a whole new chapter. After leaving the store, Emma spent the rest of the day walking around the small town, not really sure where she was going. Her phone sat quietly in her pocket, and the world around her felt strange. It was a sunny afternoon, but it didn't feel like a sunny day to Emma. It felt empty. She had always liked her job, but now, without it, everything seemed uncertain. The thought of having to search for another job filled her with dread. She had worked at the grocery store for nearly 2 years, and the idea of starting over at a new place seemed overwhelming. She knew it would be hard, and after what had just happened, she wasn't sure if she even wanted to go back to work in another store. What if it happened again? What if the next place also didn't understand when she did something good for someone else? As she walked, Emma's mind wandered back to that moment when she had helped the boy with the bike. It had been such a simple thing. All she had done was fix a bike chain. It wasn't even anything special. But somehow, that small act of kindness had led to this. She couldn't help but wonder if maybe she had done something wrong by trying to help. By the time Emma reached the small park by the lake, it was late afternoon. She sat down on a bench, feeling the cool breeze brush against her face. There weren't many people around, just a few families walking their dogs or sitting on the grass. The quiet made her feel even more alone. And for the first time in a long while, Emma let herself feel the weight of everything that had happened. Her phone buzzed in her pocket. She pulled it out, expecting another message about a job rejection. But instead, it was an unknown number. She hesitated, then answered the call. "Hello, is this Emma?" The voice on the other end was soft and calm. "Yes, this is Emma," she replied, still unsure who it was. "You don't know me," the voice continued, "but my son told me something that I think you should hear. You helped him the other day with his bike. He wanted to thank you." Emma blinked in surprise. She had no idea who this was. "I'm sorry, but which son?" Emma asked, confused. "My son is the boy who had the bike trouble that day. His name is Lucas. He told me about you fixing his bike, and I wanted to personally thank you." Emma felt a small spark of warmth in her chest. "Oh, you're welcome," she said, smiling to herself. It wasn't a big deal. The woman paused for a moment before speaking again. "It was a big deal to us, and that's why I'm calling. I have something I'd like to offer you." Emma's heart began to beat faster. What was she talking about? "You've shown kindness when it wasn't asked for, and because of that, we would like to help you." Emma didn't understand. She was still processing the shock of being fired, but this call seemed out of the blue. "I'm sorry, I'm not sure what you mean." The woman's voice grew warmer. "There's a group of us who like to quietly give back to the community. We call ourselves the 17. We've been looking for people who do good without expecting anything in return. We've been blessed with success, and we want to help you." Emma sat up straight, a wave of confusion washing over her. She wasn't sure what was happening, but something told her this conversation was about to change everything. Emma sat on the park bench, her phone still pressed to her ear. She couldn't quite understand what the woman was saying, but the words she had already heard left her confused and curious. The 17. Who were they? And why were they calling her? The woman on the other end of the line seemed to sense Emma's hesitation. "Don't worry, Emma. I know this might sound strange. Let me explain." Emma listened closely as the woman continued. "A few years ago, a group of us came together with one simple goal: to quietly help people who do good, even when they don't ask for anything in return. We believe in making a difference, not for fame or attention, but just because it's the right thing to do. Your kindness caught our attention, and we want to help you." Emma blinked, still unsure of what was happening. Was this some kind of prank? She had never heard of such a group before. "I don't understand," she finally said. "I just fixed the kid's bike, that's all." "And that's exactly why we're reaching out," the woman replied. "Lucas, my son, told me how you helped him without hesitation. You didn't think about yourself or the rules. You simply saw a need and took care of it. That's the kind of person we're looking for." Emma felt her heart race. She couldn't believe what she was hearing. It wasn't like she had done anything extraordinary. She had just acted in the moment, doing something kind for a young boy who needed help. She didn't expect anything in return. "So, what do you want from me?" she asked, still trying to piece it all together. "Nothing at all," the woman said with a soft laugh. "You don't owe us anything. We just want to help you move forward. We've seen what you did, and we want to offer you support. We know you've been having a tough time lately, and we'd like to offer you a chance to start something new. Maybe even start a business of your own if that's something you're interested in. Emma felt a mixture of shock and disbelief. Her mind was spinning. Just a few days ago, she had been fired from her job at the grocery store, and now this strange woman was telling her about a group of people who wanted to help her. Why me? Emma asked, her voice soft. I'm just a regular person. I don't know anything about business. That's the beauty of it, the woman said. We're not looking for the perfect person. We're looking for someone who cares, someone who's willing to make a difference. And we believe that you can. We can offer you financial support, advice, and resources to help you build something meaningful. Emma felt a lump form in her throat. She had never expected anything like this to happen. She had never even imagined that a simple act of kindness would lead to something so big. Just think about it, the woman said gently. We want to see you succeed, and we believe in you. With those words, the woman ended the call. Emma sat there, the phone still pressed to her ear, her mind racing with thoughts and questions. Who were these people? Why did they want to help her? And what was she supposed to do next? As she sat in silence, Emma couldn't shake the feeling that something incredible was about to unfold. Emma sat in the park for a long time after the phone call ended. She couldn't stop thinking about what the woman had said. Financial support, advice, and resources to start something new. What did that even mean? Who were these people, and why did they want to help her? She felt both overwhelmed and confused, unsure of what to do next. After a while, she stood up, still lost in thought. It was getting late, and the park was starting to empty. As she walked back toward the main street, she noticed the sun dipping below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. It felt like the end of one chapter and the beginning of something new, but Emma wasn't sure what that new chapter would be. When she got home, she made herself a cup of tea and sat by the window, staring out at the quiet street. The house felt oddly still, almost too quiet. Her phone, still sitting on the kitchen table, had been silent ever since the strange call. She kept telling herself that maybe she was just imagining things, that it couldn't be real. Then, just as she was about to give in to her doubts, the doorbell rang. It was a soft, gentle ring, but it made her heart skip a beat. She wasn't expecting anyone, and her first thought was to ignore it. But something pushed her to get up and answer the door. When she opened it, she was stunned to see a group of people standing on her doorstep. There were at least 17 of them, all dressed in smart suits and holding a mix of briefcases and flowers. They looked like a group of professionals, but their faces were warm and welcoming. They didn't look like the type of people Emma was used to seeing in her small town. The one in front stepped forward and smiled. "Hello, Emma," he said in a calm voice. "We're here to meet you. We've been following your story." Emma stood frozen in the doorway, unsure of how to respond. Her mind raced with thoughts of the phone call earlier. Had they come because of that? But why would a group of strangers show up at her house? "We're the 17," the man continued, as if reading her mind. "We're a group of people who have been fortunate in life and believe in giving back. You've shown kindness, and we want to support you." He handed her a small bouquet of flowers. "This is just a small token of appreciation for your heart, and there's something else we'd like to offer you." He motioned behind him, and another person stepped forward holding a large cardboard check. Emma's eyes widened as she saw the number written across the top. $50,000. "This is seed money," the man said gently, "to help you start whatever project or business you want. You don't have to decide right now. Just know that we believe in you and want to see you succeed." Emma felt her knees go weak. She hadn't expected this. She hadn't expected any of it. A moment ago, she had been unsure about her future. And now, here were these people offering her a chance to build something new, to make a real difference. "We're here for you," the man said, his voice sincere. "Take your time to think about it. We just want to see you do well." As the group stood in her driveway, waiting for her response, Emma realized something. This wasn't a dream. It wasn't a joke. These people genuinely wanted to help her, and somehow, in that moment, everything began to feel possible again. Emma stood frozen on her doorstep, holding the bouquet of flowers in one hand and staring at the large check in the other. She felt as though time had slowed down. $50,000. It seemed unreal, impossible. But the group of people standing before her, smiling kindly, made it clear that this wasn't a mistake. They were serious. The man who had spoken earlier stepped forward again, his face calm but filled with warmth. "We understand this might be overwhelming, Emma," he said, "but we're here because we believe in what you can do. We've seen the way you help others, even when it's not expected. That's the kind of person we want to support." Emma's mind was racing. She had no idea how to respond. Just a few days ago, she had been fired from her job for doing something kind, and now here she was, being offered a chance to start something entirely new. It felt like a dream, and yet everything about the situation felt so real. "We want to give you more than just money," the woman standing next to the man added. "We can offer you advice, resources, and guidance to help you bring your ideas to life. This isn't just about the check. It's about giving you the tools to make something meaningful." Emma glanced at the check again. The number on it seemed to stare back at her, almost taunting her, like she wasn't sure she deserved it. She had never thought of herself as someone who could start a business or even run one. She had always just worked day by day, taking care of what was in front of her. Helping a boy with a bike was as far as her ambitions had ever gone. "We've been watching for a while," the man continued, "and what stood out to us was how you didn't hesitate to help Lucas. It wasn't a grand gesture, just something simple, but it mattered. That's the kind of thing we're looking for. People who do good without expecting anything in return." Emma tried to take it all in. She couldn't quite wrap her head around it. People who wanted to help her, who believed in her, when all she had done was fix a bike for a boy she didn't even know. "We helped others like you before," another member of the group spoke up. "Some of them started community projects. Others have opened businesses. Whatever you decide to do, we'll be here to guide you. We don't want anything in return. We just want to see you succeed." Emma felt a lump form in her throat. She had never imagined that one small act could lead to something so big. She didn't know what to say. She wanted to tell them how grateful she was, but the words felt stuck inside her. After a long pause, she finally spoke, her voice soft but filled with gratitude. I, I don't know what to say. This is all so much. I never expected anything like this. I'm just a regular person, really. I didn't do it for anything. I just wanted to help." The group smiled, understanding in their eyes. "That's exactly why we're here," the man said gently. "Because we believe that people like you deserve a chance to do something more." Emma looked at the check again, then back at the group standing in front of her. For the first time in a long time, she felt a spark of hope. Maybe, just maybe, this was the beginning of something incredible, something that could change her life and her community for the better. The following days felt like a whirlwind for Emma. After the group of strangers, the 17, left her doorstep, she spent the night in a daze, turning over everything they had said. The offer of $50,000 was still sitting in the back of her mind, but it wasn't just the money that she couldn't stop thinking about. It was the possibility of what this new chapter in her life could look like. Could she really build something from the ground up? Could she create a future for herself, one that she had never imagined possible? Emma had spent so many years living in a small, predictable world. She had always worked hard but never dreamed of anything beyond the familiar routines. Helping a boy with his bike had felt like something simple and small, but now it felt like the start of something much bigger. She thought about the kindness of the group, how they believed in her and offered more than just money. They wanted to help her grow and succeed. Over the next few days, she called a few close friends and family members to talk through everything. She wasn't one to make big decisions quickly, and the weight of the situation needed to be shared. Her brother, Mark, was the first person she reached out to. "So you're telling me some group wants to give you all this money to start something new?" Mark asked, disbelief clear in his voice. "Yes," Emma said, staring out her kitchen window. "It sounds crazy, I know. I still can't believe it." Mark was silent for a moment. "Well, if they're offering, you'd be crazy not to at least think about it. I know you've always wanted to do more, but you never had the chance." Emma nodded, even though her brother couldn't see her. "But what if I mess it up? What if I fail?" Mark's voice softened. "Emma, you're not going to fail. You've always worked hard. You've got a good heart. If this group believes in you, maybe it's time you start believing in yourself too." The next few days, Emma spent a lot of time thinking about what her next steps should be. She had a lot of doubts, but deep down, she could feel the pull toward something new. She started researching different ideas, community-based projects, local businesses, and small ventures that could have a positive impact. The more she looked, the more she realized that there were so many possibilities. She could use the resources offered by the 17 to create something meaningful, something that mattered to her and her town. One evening, as she sat with her notes spread out in front of her, Emma made a decision. She called the woman from the group, the one who had first contacted her. "Hi," Emma said, her voice steady. I've been thinking a lot about your offer, and I think I'm ready to take the next step. I want to start something. I don't know exactly what yet, but I want to make a difference." The woman on the other end of the line smiled, and Emma could hear the excitement in her voice. "That's wonderful, Emma. We knew you had it in you. We'll be here to help guide you every step of the way." As Emma hung up the phone, she felt a sense of relief wash over her. The decision had been made. It wouldn't be easy, but it was time to take a chance. For the first time in a long while, Emma felt hopeful for the future. The road ahead was uncertain, but it was hers to shape. She was ready to begin. The days that followed Emma's decision felt like a new beginning. After her call with the woman from the group, she started planning. She wasn't exactly sure where it would all lead, but she knew one thing for certain. She wanted to help her community. She wanted to build something that could make a difference, something meaningful. The first step was to meet with the members of the 17. They had offered her more than just money. They had promised support and guidance, and Emma knew that this was her chance to learn from people who had already succeeded in building something good. When she arrived at the meeting, she was both nervous and excited. The group welcomed her warmly, and as she walked into the room, she could see that everyone was eager to listen and offer advice. It wasn't about the money. They were there to help her figure out the best way to turn her vision into reality. Emma started by telling them about her thoughts. She wanted to create something that would support local families, offer resources for those in need, and help build a stronger sense of community. It was a broad idea, but Emma knew that it could grow into something great. As she spoke, one of the members, a woman named Sarah, smiled. "This is exactly what we had in mind when we reached out to you, Emma," she said. "You're thinking about others, and that's the foundation of any good project. Now, it's time to start breaking it down into steps." They spent the next few hours talking, brainstorming, and writing down ideas. With the help of the group, Emma began to see the potential for her project in a way she hadn't before. They helped her organize her thoughts and put together a plan. They also shared some of their own experiences, how they had started their own businesses, how they had faced challenges, and how they had learned to keep moving forward even when things were tough. After the meeting, Emma felt a renewed sense of purpose. The group had given her the tools she needed to start building her dream. But more than that, they had given her confidence. They believed in her. And now she was starting to believe in herself too. Over the next few weeks, Emma worked tirelessly to get her project off the ground. She used the financial support from the group to rent a small space and begin collecting donations for families in need. She also started reaching out to local businesses for partnerships and support. The work wasn't easy, and there were times when Emma felt overwhelmed. But each time she hit a roadblock, she reminded herself of the group's words. Keep going. She wasn't doing this alone. She had a team of people who believed in her, and she was building something that mattered. Slowly but surely, Emma began to see the impact of her hard work. Families who had once struggled to make ends meet were now able to access the resources they needed. Local businesses began to support her project, and more people in the community started to get involved. One day, as Emma stood outside her new community center watching people come and go, she couldn't help but smile. It hadn't been easy, but it had been worth it. She had taken a chance, and now she was seeing the fruits of her labor. She had built something real, something that would continue to grow and help others for years to come. The future was still uncertain, but for the first time in a long while, Emma knew she was on the right path.